Hello listeners, you're with myself, Stephen.
And myself, Thomas.
And that same old introduction we've done the last 4 or 5 times.
But there's a difference. We've got 2 other sneaky little buggers with us today. We've got... Who have we got? We've got Jay and we've got Peter from SANlight Horticulture.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. And you?
I'm good.
Good.
Well, today, right, it's the last podcast of the year. Of the year.
20th of December.
Yeah.
4 days, 5 days till Christmas.
Yeah.
Some of you will be shitting yourselves because you've done nothing. You've just realised, shit, 5 days till Christmas.
Yeah. But some of you will be well prepared and will be looking forward to Santa jumping down the old chimney.
And delivering a nice V3 multi-flow system.
Or whatever it may be. Yeah.
An IOU.
Yeah. Well, it is today's chat, nice and relaxed, informal, and we're going to talk about the last year, what we've been up to, just talking about the year in general, isn't it? But
what's been going on with the highlights of the year. Highlight of the year, eh?
Yeah, that was a good one, that.
We've got highlights here.
Our best friends in the industry.
Yeah, they are.
Our number 1 wholesaler, supplier.
Yeah.
And our friends as well.
Yeah, and they've come here today to have a little talk with NPK.
Yeah.
We certainly have.
So, they've come here today. We are going to talk about something new that's up and coming with SANlight Horticulture, and it's the improvement of the V2 system.
Yeah, the flood and drain multi-flow terracotta pots.
Yes, which is renamed with the new name of...
V3.
Yeah! Woo!
How long did it take you to come up with that one?
2 years.
Was that a meeting every day as well?
It was, yeah. It got a bit monotonous after the first year.
So what's going on? What's going on, guys? You know, this new system. What is it? What's it all about?
We're combining the V1 and V2, the best bits of it, together to produce something that we think just covers most of the situations that you would be in on the flood and drain. So you can run it as a deep water culture, you can run it as a dripper system, and it'll take your excess away from it. And we sent a questionnaire out to people with what improvements they would like to see, and hopefully some of them, not all of them, we've incorporated into it.
Sounds good to me.
Stuff. Well, you've used them in the tobacco labs.
Yep.
You've done extensive testing on the multi-flow V2 system.
Yeah.
There's a picture up on the Facebook if you're interested in seeing our tobacco labs, with a beautiful picture of Thomas tweaking the digital ballast in the background. You got your gorgeous mug on there, didn't you?
Yeah, I have.
What improvements, or if you had to really nitpick on the system, what would you say?
Well, the system worked tremendous for me and was just phenomenal, to be honest with you. Really easy to use. If I was going to nitpick, there was only 2 things. The bottom float valve, I think, could have been, I don't know, there was a small little residue of water, and also the buttons on the control timer were a bit stiff. They were the only 2 things.
We've managed to get away from leaving the water in the bottom by reorientating the pump, which also stops it locking if anything runs dry. And in doing that, it means the level of the water pumps out to a lot lower than it was, so you've probably only got about a 3mm film left in the bottom now.
Cool.
And in doing that, a few other little things have been addressed as well, so that it can never ever airlock. We've slightly improved how the switches sit, so that it stops them getting contaminated as much. Tested other switches as well, but we've stuck with those ones because they seem to be a lot more stable than other ones we've tested, and they can sit lower in the water.
It was a very reliable piece of equipment for 18 months solid.
Yeah. So what was the longest time that you didn't visit the tobacco labs? Maybe you'd visit on a Friday afternoon and then back
at some point, because we was away on various
trips and conferences.
Yeah, conferences. So I think at one point it was 13 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked flawlessly.
Fine. Come back and it was perfect.
Yeah, that's really what it's designed for.
Yeah.
Just the ease of use. The box has been redesigned. It's a remote box like it was before, but we've changed instead of the power running through from the brain bucket to the box, we've put 2 power sources on, so that we don't have to run live power down a cable that's running along the bottom of your grow room or anything.
Yeah.
So that's just a signal wire now between the 2. and that it's coax, so it should no interference. So we should take out any electrical interference as well on that. So that's another improvement really, that ballast box is sparking and there's quite a lot of electrical interference around, that it should be stable enough to survive anything like that.
Oh, good stuff.
Without it spiking.
You mentioned as well you could run the system as a DWC system.
Yes, that's
so
right.
in effect you're buying and a dripper system. So in effect you're buying a 3-in-1.
Yeah, that's right. The DWC system, it's really just the length of time that you're flooding for. So you flood constantly and then drain back at various points. So it's just working in reverse. On the dripper system, or even simply hand watering system, really all it's doing is using it as a take off the excess water back into the tank.
Is there much of a price increase?
It's not priced at the moment, but no, it shouldn't be much of a price increase. The component costs have gone down quite a lot since then, and even build-up costs have gone down with the advent of 3D printers. You can print your boxes out to various sizes and see how they sit with the system, and then get them made from the printer.
Them 3D printers.
You've had some again.
Let's just talk about 3D printers.
3D
for a minute.
printers are amazing.
Are bloody. I still don't understand them. And when I was working for the company in the factory, they had 2, and I was mesmerised. I just used to stand there and look at it, and I still could. You can see everything that's going on, and I still can't understand what's going on. I can't understand how this thing is printing in thin air a thing that you can take out and it's in your hand. You know what it reminds me of? It's like, remember my TVR at Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, and they put him in the telly, and it like all goes through the telly, and then he sticks his hand and he gets it out. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
God knows how they do it.
Well, Peter will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, but it's a layering process.
It is
whereby
a layering process, yeah.
You put the raw materials in at one end.
Oh yeah, they explained all that. Yeah, they told me all that and showed me how you fill it up with this like plastic stuff.
Yeah.
Still don't understand it.
Do you know, in the future, doctors and surgeons think that they'll be able to recreate hearts, lungs, kidneys, and they'll be able to do transplants.
And joints.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want to get one. And you can just make gold bars. Innit?
You'd have to have the gold in the first place.
Yeah, and some sort of alchemy kit.
Yeah.
You can make anything you wanted.
Yeah, but you've got to have the raw materials first.
Yeah.
No, you just put this plastic stuff. you just put this plastic stuff.
They were making plastics, though, weren't they? They make nice plastic objects. But yeah, you can make sockets for your wall. Surgeons want to make new organs. Yeah, and I think they've already started making.
I was thinking more along the lines of pound notes, pound coins, gold bars, diamonds, Rolex watches.
I don't think they've got the technology quite that down yet.
Are you getting confused with Star Trek that you watched last night?
Don't know. It's all a bit too advanced for me, that stuff.
Yeah. Do you reckon it'll have a big impact on our industry, 3D printing?
No,
not really.
Funny enough, though,
I've actually seen one product already that's made
I know
with a 3D
what you're going to say. I know what
It was a really simple product, but I think the way it was made captivated
it was
everybody.
That thing that looks like a Y shape.
Yeah, it was a Venturi.
Yeah, still don't know what the fuck that does.
It's a really simple thing. It basically creates a vacuum inside pipework, which allows the pressure to be higher than it naturally would. But the fact that it was created with this 3D printer...
Higher or lower?
Higher pressure.
Lower.
Sorry, lower pressure, isn't it?
It sounds like we're on that game show. Higher, lower. What's Bruce Forsyth,
yeah.
Play cards, right?
Yes. Well, can I get my mistake in just before you finish? Because I'm going to fess up to my mistake. I was preoccupied with talking about disease 2 weeks ago on the second part of Pest and Disease, and I incorrectly said that Pythium was a bacterial problem. Pythium.
What a bellend. How could you get something like that so wrong?
Obviously. Well, he's actually not technically wrong in a really kind of scientific way.
Yeah, I've got confused. I mean, we were all discussing it before with the anaerobic process, the lack of oxygen.
But I actually think it's a bit of both anyway. So
yeah. It starts off as a bacteria.
And the actual slimy
but
brown
Pythium
roots
itself is a fungus.
So I apologise, it was a moment of intellectual weakness on my part. But you all know that I'm fess up to me mistakes, because I listened back to the podcast I listened to myself and went, what a bellend, he thinks Pythium's a bacteria, dickhead. And I remembered it was me speaking.
I think,
Well, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. You only get 50 lashes for that one,
yeah,
Steve. So.
I think Twitter went into meltdown as well.
Sorry to interrupt you, 3D Venturi printed.
Yeah, we were trending 3D Venturi printed things for a minute, weren't we?
So if you don't know what he's talking about, basically we went to a show, which was where?
I think it was
Coventry.
possibly Coventry show last year.
Yes.
Yeah. Was it also at the AutoPot show as well?
No, I don't think so.
No, it wasn't.
Well,
That's just a shout out to AutoPot there. I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, well, this is a bit of a shout out to the Venturi guy, to be fair,
Yeah.
because apparently his equipment failed and he didn't actually end up bringing the product to market, which was a real shame because we were looking forward to distributing it. We were massively excited about it, if for no other reason than it was built with a 3D printer.
Yeah.
You know, the topic of conversation on shop visits is always sometimes hard to come by, so, you know,
Yeah.
perfect opener, isn't it? Look what I've got.
Yeah.
A Venturi built with a 3D printer.
It's nice to get new products as well, isn't it? I'm fed up with people coming in with like, look at me brand new A and B.
What's the best product you have seen this year?
For simplicity of use or for how it works?
Whatever you want. Just the best product you've seen.
In the nutrient, it's got to be moonshine.
Moonshine. I've got it on the shelf. Never used it. Don't know anybody really who's used it.
Right, I do, and it is a particularly good root stimulator,
Okay.
and it's also an accelerator
Right.
in one product. It does work very well. You get massive root growth from it.
Would you use it in this root test that we're going to do?
Yes, I would use it in the root test because it's that good a root stimulator as well. But it also produces more bricks in the plant as well in the end. So it's a combination of lots of different...
Because he's just sort of
Oil.
destroyed that sort of an idea I had about moonshine. I also thought fantastic product, but I thought it was a fantastic product for the people that maybe just used A and B, PK product and maybe one or two other products, and didn't really delve too much in using. And you had the moonshine, it's got all the, I imagine, B vitamins and humics and fulvics and whatever else concoction to put in there. And because people haven't used that sort of stuff before, it's obviously going to make good results. But now that Peter's saying that it's making good results, well, I imagine Peter also uses the silicons and his B vitamins and his humics and
that's
fulvic.
right. I do know people who've been testing it who've stripped down completely, so they're just using cocoa A and B with moonshine and then explode with it as well. And that's the only things they're using all the way through, and they've been getting good results from it.
Okay,
as
good
well.
stuff.
You can maybe answer the question for me, you guys, while you're all being really scientific about stuff. Moonshine, does it contain silicon?
No.
Peter, I was in Nottingham, wasn't I, last week, and I asked Peter this, because if you add moonshine in at the wrong pH, as in the pH is below 6.3, it seems to drop out, it clouds the water up. So I thought, because it doesn't say it's got silicon in it, so I thought, this is a silicon product. So for people that are already using silicons and already got their regime pretty sorted, maybe moonshine might not be great for them. Maybe it's a product.
Yeah, I was a
that-
similar way of thinking, Steve, and that's why I asked that question. Because I was
That's
interested.
because it's brewed essential oils, and they don't emulsify if the pH is wrong as well.
Yeah.
They will eventually. It doesn't drop as a sediment like silicon would do, but it does take time to emulsify.
So it's the essential oils that you can see that
Yeah,
dropping
so
out.
it's an oil water mix where it takes a bit of time for the oil to be absorbed into the water.
So are we always going to see that emulsification, that cloudiness?
It will go anyway. It will go after.
So it doesn't really matter if you add it before or after the A and B. It's going to be
That's right,
suspended in the
yes,
solution once you give it a good stir. Anyway.
Yeah, and you can do like anything that's concentrated, like Buddha's Tree PK as well. You can mix it in a 5 litre jug first, and then add it to your solution, and then you're not putting such a concentrated solution in.
Because that also goes cloudy, I've noticed as well.
That's right, yeah. But again, it's because it's a concentrated solution, and it's not going to mix instantly, so it forms an emulsion, which is just little dots.
Oh, okay. So, but moonshine for Peter, that's his standout product.
What about you, Jay?
Do you know, I'm really still trying to think. If you'd have asked me this last year, I would have 100% Buddha's Tree PK 918. I'm sure you'll appreciate at store level the massive following it's got already. And I don't think I've ever come across anybody who's got a bad thing to say about it, to be fair.
To be honest, the Buddha's Tree guys, they're doing very well.
Yeah, started shipping out to the US as well. So
Yeah.
that's a very tough market to crack.
They don't do a lot, a big range of products, but the things that they do get really, really good feedback.
The benefit of not doing a massive range of products is people have used the 918, and I may as well get in my product of 2015. And I know it's probably a product of 2014, but it really took off in our shop in 2015 as the flower based.
Yeah.
What an impressive product.
Yes, flower based.
Yeah.
In really done well. Yeah.
In my opinion, I say to every customer, it's the product of the year, and probably one of the best products in the industry, full stop.
Yeah, and full marks to the Buddha's Tree guys, because I think there's always a danger when you launch a successful product like PK918 for your follow-up product to not necessarily be as good and to try and live a bit off the name of the first product. But to be fair to the Buddha's Tree guys,
well done, the boys.
Really cheap as well.
Yeah,
for what it does.
Yeah. And it lasts as well. So like, basically, to everyone who's listening and thinking, what are you talking about? There's a product by Buddha's Tree, it's called flower based. It's very, very cheap, from £15.
Yeah, for the small 100ml bottle.
Yeah, it takes 0.2 ml per litre.
Very,
per
very
litre.
small.
Yeah.
So the ratio is, it's a concentrated amount, and also you're only using for a 14-day period.
Yes, yeah.
First 2 weeks of flower. Well, I got corrected actually, because we all say the first 2 weeks of flower, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but on the back of the bottle and Buddha's Tree actually say for the first 3 weeks. But I think it's that good a product, it does a 3 weeks job in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then most people in our shop anyway are starting to use from week 3 Explode. So they've got the flowering sites, and now they're starting to build on them with Explode or with the PK.
It's similar with most boosters, Steve, isn't it? The fact that you start in weeks 4 and beyond a flower.
Yeah.
So there's always been a gap in your schedule for how keen people are to use nutrient, which is
So well done,
great.
Buddha's Tree. Yeah.
And just to finish off what I was saying at the beginning of that, before I mentioned my product of the year, is the benefits of just using a small selection and concentrating on those products rather than coming out with a massive range all at once. They brought out the 918, and they had the flower based, and then they've had the Meta Boost and the Defender and the solar power as well, the SANlight, which is the silicon. Now, most people have used the 918, a lot of people now have used the flower based, more people are moving to the Meta Boost. But to move them onto the Meta Boost, they're saying to me, well, I've used 918, that's a brilliant product. I've used the flower based, and that's a phenomenal product. So the Meta Boost is bound to be good, isn't it? And that's what you're getting. You're getting people just assuming that the next product's going to be brilliant, because everything that precedes it has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is me taking my hat off to Buddha's Tree. What a great year you have had. Thank you for bringing us some amazing products, and long live the range. Let's see what 2016 brings for Buddha's Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Product of which Highlight Horticulture are the UK distributor. I must add.
Yeah.
So what about any bad products that we might have seen throughout the year? Anything that you haven't liked, or anything you didn't like, or you were disappointed about, or...
Yeah, 'cause we need your help, because reps don't visit us anymore and show us bad products. It's got to be certified good before they venture.
Or any that you may have seen at some shows abroad, or when we was in the Spanish shows.
There are good products. I've seen some pretty dire deep water culture systems.
Yeah, you see a lot of cheap stuff on the market. I think that's one thing that annoys me, is cheap crap.
Yes, yeah.
Or equally expensive crap as well, T. There's a range of systems which obviously I'm not going to name, but there is a range of systems at the moment which is really kind of, it's griping with me, if I'm honest, and they're pretty kind of expensive in terms of direct comparisons to similar systems.
Yeah.
And the fact is that the majority of their systems in their range don't work, and they charge a lot of money for that.
If you had it,
so.
use the big guys, use the distributors, you've been in the industry a long time, a longer time than NPK's been running as a hydroponic store. If you have some advice to customers, some personal advice to what to look for when you're going to spend your money in a hydroponic store, give us some tips.
I always, if people are going to that, I would always say try and keep it simple, because if you keep it simple, then anything you do after that, you've got a baseline from where you started, simply, so you know that if you've done something else after that, and it's made it better, then it's working.
It is
if
because
it's made
of,
it worse, then you're doing worse than your very simple system that you started off with. So you should probably go back to it. So my advice would always be start off simple. It doesn't matter what nutrient you're working on or using, always follow their guide and just use that nutrient range. And then, after that, then start putting other things in and topping it up and making it a pro system.
Yeah, I like that piece of advice.
That, simpler the better to start off with.
Well, that's something I actually say to the customers as well. They come in and there'll be 3 or 4 new products. There might be Botanic's CalMag has just hit the shelves with the added iron, which is a good product, and then Flower Based is out there, and there's product A, B, C, D, whatever, and they say what new products have you got? So you get them out and you talk them through them, and you go, okay, I'll take all of them. We say to them, no, you just pick one.
Yeah.
Just pick one, because the problem is, as Peter just put it, you take all 5 of these great products and you're going to get, more than likely, you're going to get a better result.
CalMag generally, though, is only because you put too much PK in.
Yeah.
You need CalMag anyway.
Yeah.
So that ought to be a sign, really.
Exactly.
You need to back off either
Remind
length of time or the concentration.
Because I'm going to forget in a minute, I've got another point to raise. Just remember, CalMag PK uptake metabolism. I want to mention something about that, because there's good stuff.
Here we go, there's
good stuff coming up. But yeah, don't take all 5 products, take one at a time. So you've used what you've been used to, you know what you get off your plants, and then add one thing at a time, change one thing at a time. In science, we call them variables. You change one thing so that you know that the results.
And also make sure you listen and take in the information that you're being told from your hydroponic store that you go to, whether you shop at NPK or not, and you go to the other stores. Make sure the guys are educated on these products, because there's 1,000,001 different bottles in the stores, and a lot of them will clash against one another if you don't know what the ingredients are. So make sure that you spend the time to, look at what's in each of these bottles, and so that you're not crossing over and adding too much PK or putting too much nitrogen in the flowering period, and so on and so forth. So basically, you can build your recipe, but just make sure you get some good information on the ingredients you're going to put in your recipe first.
That was actually going to be my piece of advice, Thomas, was that if you're visiting a hydroponic store for the first time, always speak to the if you can, the owner, if not a member of staff in the store, because the wealth of knowledge that the guys have nationally it's
not even, as well, Jay, for us, like, we are a store, and obviously we want people to come, every person in the whole world to come to an NPK shop, but the realisticness of that, it's not going to happen. And we do this show just because we love growing and we love our industry, and we want other people who live in America or Germany or Australia or up and down the UK to make sure that they're getting the right information when they go to their store, because at the end of the day, they're going and spending their money with that company. It's only right that they should be getting a service back from them.
Yeah. I've been visiting grow shops around the UK and Europe for a long time, and the amount of knowledge that pours out of the guys who work in these shops is just untangible. So that would be my number one advice. Just listen to the guy behind the counter, because more often than not he can correct the mistake that you're making, and chances that save you some money along the way.
Local water issues is one of them. Whether it's soft, hard, what your start EC is, which tends to be area.
Yeah, of course, because chances are these guys grow in the area that they live in, the shop that they're proprietor of, so they're fully conversant with the area as well as the subject of growing. So listen to the guys in the shops.
You stole a good piece of advice.
And the other thing is, don't forget to buy something to measure EC and pH.
Yeah, top
because that's very, very important.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what EC and pH is, I think we must have done a podcast on that by now.
We've talked about it briefly, but it's one for 2016 when you let me go in depth and you.
Well, if you don't know what EC and pH is and you have been growing for a while, you are behind. You are at the back of the race.
You're one of the people that needs to start listening a bit more rather than talking.
Yeah. So and
EC can be ppm.
Yeah.
Or CF.
Yes. For you guys in the US and stuff like that.
Yeah, the US tend to use ppm.
I think they do.
Yeah.
In all fairness, though, the guys in the US are bloody like years ahead of us.
They'll be thinking
they're
to
all
themselves
related,
now.
Yeah.
What?
So
You guys don't use EC and ppm?
Yeah,
How the
believe-
fucking hell do you grow?
yeah. Well, believe it, there are people who don't use EC, CF, or ppm. God help them.
I just have to apologise to the Americans for that appalling American accent. That was off the cuff, that one. Yeah, and pH is completely... If you had to choose between the two, I'd say EC if you're in soil and cocoa, EC slightly ahead of pH for me.
I'd say it's probably where you live is probably the most important thing when you're talking about pH.
And just to explain, EC is the amount of salt that's in the water.
Yeah, not table salt.
Not table salt.
In chemistry, you talk about salt as in ions.
Ions,
So this is not sodium chloride. This is not your table salt. This is all salts in chemistry.
So you just give them a minute and he's off again.
He was nearly off again then.
He's
I'll
off
give you that,
again
yeah.
into this scientific spiel.
Oh, it's great though, isn't it?
It is.
It's 2 on 2 today.
Yeah, I've got back off.
And pH is
Potential hydrogen.
how many,
While
how many
we've
spare
got
hydrogen molecules
while
are
we've got
linking
Peter
around?
here, we've been trying to get Peter now for ages.
Because he will never ever blow his own trumpet.
Oh, no.
But Peter, he'll never say so on the podcast, but Peter's one of the most respected, highly knowledgeable
Yeah.
people in the industry.
Yeah.
What he doesn't know about ventilation and air movement
Yeah.
isn't worth knowing.
Yeah.
And me and him and just talk forever on the chemistry.
Is not basically in layman's terms.
He's my Stephen. That's what he is.
yeah. He knows his shit on air and extraction.
On that point, when this podcast finishes, actually, if we have time, he's actually said that he'll be giving us a little lesson on ventilation, because obviously we'll be offering NPK University. One of our seminars that we offer is on ventilation, and we know a lot on ventilation. But
what I was going to ask him is just a brief one. Could he just give us some top tips
On ventilation
and extraction?
On the extraction is, if you're going to design a system,
Be warned, listeners. This could get complicated. Go ahead, carry on, Peter.
if you're going to design a system for extraction, always design it for the hottest summer day, because you can always turn a fan down, but you can never turn it up. And general air movement, if you get your temperature correct on the extraction, that will put enough air through your tent or your growing area to replace any carbon dioxide or oxygen that's being used. But you do need a separate air movement, so every point in your area should have air moving across it, which will be your secondary fans to move across it.
So you'd have your clip fans moving the air between the lights and the top of the plants, and then a second clip fan maybe lower down, moving the bottom air
just getting the air mixing and moving around, because it evens the temperature out in the tent. And probably not quite on ventilation, but the second one is, especially at this time of year, don't skimp on a heater.
Yeah.
Because that's what goes wrong with most things. They only have to get cold once, and you've set yourself back quite a long way.
Yeah. Are there any symptoms of suffering with coldness that look out for?
Well, the chilly ones just recently have been leaf drop and what looks like iron deficiency, but probably isn't, but that's to do with cold.
Yes, the drops between
So they're
hot
dropping
and
at the
cold.
bottom.
Is that where the
turning
leaves
yellow.
go black a bit?
They're going yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah, yellow and falling off.
What's when you get the dark black patches?
That's as it's
Black
gone
spot.
on. Black spot, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily black, because on leaves they don't really go black unless it's a fungal infection, but they will die and go brown.
Right.
So anything like that where it looks like it's rotting will probably be fungus related. And the
He was in a
narcotic spots are
he was
usually
going
to do with
chilies. He was in a basement.
Yep.
So, and he was having issues with the temperature and humidity
And the humidity,
stuff like
always being cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually, yes. It's keeping this temperature
And when
stable
you go
as possible.
below ground, what's the standard temperature? -8?
Well,
Below a certain distance.
when
below.
we back in our
Not in
caving
the middle
days,
of the earth.
in our caving days, there was a weird phenomenon when I can't remember the exact amount that you have to go down, but it's always a constant temperature, no matter what.
-8 degrees, was it?
I don't know if it was that cold. It might have been 8 degrees.
8 degrees.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
30
yeah, I think-
degrees
yeah, I think
or -8 degrees up on
Yeah.
land. It always is 8 degrees
Yeah.
in when we were doing our cave. And
There's a fact for you.
Yeah.
If we've got
a
it
geological
right.
fact.
If we've got it right.
Our university lecturers will be cursing us now.
I think you'll probably find it gets a bit hotter as you go lower.
Yeah, just a little bit.
When you get to the core, bloody hell.
Well, I've got another little interesting fact for you.
What?
Ooh.
We're
No.
going to the core.
Yeah. Geologically speaking, the amount that we've drilled down into the earth is about, I think one of the biggest drill depths is about 400 metres. You can correct me if I'm wrong again. And
Probably
you know, if you imagine the earth as an apple, well, we haven't even penetrated the outer skin yet. Isn't that interesting?
Well, here's
It
one
is
for you.
interesting,
Here's
but
one
they
for
have
you.
drilled
If
further
we're on
down in
interesting fact,
Have
here's
they?
one for
Yeah.
you.
Well, 400 metres would actually be ridiculous because some mines are a mile deep.
Are they? Well,
Yeah.
man-made, I think is what I
I think
was...
mines are mainly man-made.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise they're called caves.
We're just having a scientist off here. Me and Thomas have sat back while our two scientists.
I was going to jump in and I was
going
going to say, well, 80 years ago, there was 1 billion people on the planet, and now there's 7 billion.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a lot.
That's a lot
Yeah.
in 80 years. And
Well,
the
we've only had
fact of
TV
the
for the last
human
6
race,
years
you'll
anyway,
remember
haven't
this
you?
one,
That's why.
Stephen, back from university days. The human race has been, if you could put it on into a 24-hour clock,
Yeah.
it equates to we've been on
1 second.
1 second.
So we've just arrived at 11:59:59.
Yeah.
On a 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
That's how long we've been on the planet.
And look how much damage.
And we're
And
still-
look how much damage we've done.
Yeah.
Hey,
We're still
we've
the longest
absolutely
running plague.
logged
Yeah.
the living daylights
We've
out of
had-
our rainforest. We blew up every country and anything that we could manage to get out.
Destroyed the ozone.
Yeah.
Destroyed the ozone layer with our CFCs.
We've melted all of the ice in the Arctic, and now the polar bears have got to swim
Yeah.
for miles and miles and
Acidified the
miles.
seas.
Yeah. Well, me and Peter are having half conversations here because we're chatting
We've
away.
rebuilt the roundabout at the bottom of our estate. Now you have to go all the way around to come back up.
Well, my brilliant editor has just said, or just mentioned to me, that the deepest man-made excavation or hole, whatever you want to call it, the deepest artificial point is 12,262 metres long, which is 40,230 feet.
Bit deeper than your initial 400 metres.
Bloody hell, Steve. Yeah. He was just a bit wrong there.
You know what? I've probably
He was
missed.
only like 5 mile out.
7 miles.
You know, I've probably misinterpreted it. It might have been on about an oil drill or some sort of.
He just lets us hope he doesn't misinterpret what's in these nutrient bottles.
But that's even more impressive because at 40,000 feet, we haven't even. If the world was an apple, we haven't even pierced the skin yet. That's how big the world is.
Very big.
Interesting fact. And Peter said before as well, while you were talking, that we are the biggest plague on this planet as well.
Yeah. We're like a disease.
Yeah.
That's what That's what we
like
feel
a
like.
disease leeching the life out of the planet.
And you know what the problem is?
Us.
No. Apart from that, do you know what the problem is?
What?
We've only got one. We
Yeah.
treat it like we've got 3 or 4, don't we? And when we
That's
fuck
why,
up on here-
that's why they're all rushing to bloody try and get onto Mars.
The
'Cause
Russians?
Everybody wants to get on there, don't they?
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, some people have signed up, haven't they, to take the first trip out there and never return. They're going to form a colony on Mars. Some
Yeah.
people have
Bit of a
already
gamble, that,
decided.
if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dodgy one.
I'll let them go first.
Yeah, see what it's like.
Yeah, never coming back. Anyway, we're getting off track here. And me and Peter are talking about the caves and manholes
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the air.
Oh, and when we're talking about ventilation, the best product that I've seen out this year that isn't out yet is the Isomax EC fan,
Yeah, I've heard about this.
which is called a QMAX, but it's an EC QMAX range, which is digitally controlled. That's a very quiet, very impressive fan.
So what makes that quiet? Quieter than anything that Isomax currently do?
It's quiet because it's built into a silent box, and the flow's laminated at the end, so that so it doesn't have as much turbulence.
Yeah.
which
So by
keeps the noise
laminated,
down.
you mean that as one fan is creating the air movement, there's a second fan that turns it the opposite way.
No, there's a fixed stator that means that the air comes out in straight lines. So if you put smoke in it, it wouldn't be a turbulent smoke; it would be coming out in straight lines.
Right.
Like a jet stream.
Is
Like
that
a jet
different from the
stream.
current Isomaxes out in the market?
The motor's different.
Yeah.
The actual design's the same, but the motor's different. So they're controlled on a control signal, so they're not controlled through voltage through the plug like a normal fan is. They'll be on a control signal, but a bit like the Hyperfan.
Yeah.
But there are sort of advantages over that, and
Built-in sounds. And
just be quieter. They've choked the speed back a bit because they can run away with themselves.
Yeah.
These fans, and it's in a built-in silencer box. Yeah, so that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah, and
We've
big
made a
advocates.
controller to run them as well.
Yeah. We're big advocates of the CAN range, the Isomaxes,
we
aren't
love
we?
it, don't we?
One of the reasons, and Peter can help explain a bit more in depth on the subject, is pressure drop. Now, won't go into too much detail, but some fans, people think, well, it moves 1,000 metres cubed of air an hour. And
This
your
is one of
Isomax,
my favourite subjects, this one.
your Isomax,
Get ready with your reins there, Thomas.
your Isomax moves 1,000 metres cubed of air an hour. So basically, they're the same fan.
Yeah,
But the Isomax doesn't have pressure drop, does it? It doesn't lose pressure once you start putting filters and, or as much as some other fans.
no, a mixed flow fan like that doesn't lose as much pressure. So it does lose pressure, but the pressure characteristics of the fan mean that it does pull a lot of air for the first amount of time as it runs, and then as it hits its point of pressure where it can't push anymore, it drops off very fast.
Yeah.
So until you get to that point, it keeps fairly stable on its pull. Things like the box fans, well, the 1,000 metre cube box fan probably isn't the one to talk about because it doesn't really do anything
Yeah.
apart from spin.
Good intake fan, maybe?
A good intake fan as long as you're not putting any ducting on it.
Yeah.
So an intake fan perfect, but not for anything else really.
Okay.
And that's because the fans like that, when you mount them into a box, use a lot of the pressure that they've actually got in the fan to overcome the fact that you've put them in a square box.
Yeah.
And so what's left out of the fan is virtually nothing. But on those box fans, anything else apart from that works well. But those 1,000 ones really don't really cut the mustard for fans, apart from intake fans.
Yeah.
On the centrifugal fans, they're all right, but because of our ERP 2015 regulations that we're now under, which is efficiency of fans are having to change to become more efficient.
So that's basically Britain's laws to all our...
It's an EC directive that came in at the beginning.
So our
of this.
bloody government's probably like the most of you guys, governments out there who are listening, are very controlling and regulating and making sure everything's very strict and stringent.
They're making everything more efficient, so
Right.
we can save the planet
Well, that's
one
good.
little bit at a time.
I like that one. I'll let them have that one.
Yeah.
That's
What
very
What I
good.
want to know
It's
is,
about
can
time
somebody
they bloody
save
done
Henry
that.
Hoover? You're saving
Hey,
the planet.
they're
What about
saving
Henry,
the
eh?
planet, but let's have it right. They're fucking dumping fucking millions of bombs left, right, and centre, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So, they fucking really need to switch on properly and, get this shit together. Stop arguing. Fucking start spending the money on building the nice shit and fucking destroying everything.
And stop destroying everything.
Yeah. Wankers.
Good point. Well made.
Very eloquently put, Tom.
Yeah. I just thought to put that in there.
No, it's mad though, isn't it? They'll bring in all these directives to become a little bit greener and do a little bit better.
And you just do all crazy, stupid shit.
I know.
All fucking corrupt, money grabbing fucking bastards.
So take it this is an expletive.
This is an explicit, sorry, all you children listeners, younger listeners. But, it's very frustrating, and it's sad as
Subject very close to Thomas's heart. We
well.
can tell he's.
It's a lot of people's hearts, I suppose,
Well, that was part of our degree, wasn't it? It was ecology and
sustainability and the planet, and,
And they harp on about doing loads, but then they go and fuck it all up by
Paying
all
lip
sorts.
service to it.
Yeah.
Altering car emission tests and things like that.
Volkswagen, that was a
Polluting.
big one for 2015, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Volkswagen.
I think if we were talking every other industry, I think that'd have to be the best product I've seen so far this year. To come up with a product that knows when it's being MOT'd and can switch over is just phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well done to Volkswagen, mate.
Yeah. I just suffered on that front. Let's talk a little about the shows. The shows for this year.
This year coming?
This year that's just been. What we think of them. AutoPot, hands down, was the winner.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to go
No,
to
you read it.
So,
No.
No, myself either, which was a bit of a shame.
No, you
I'm
two
really
read
looking forward
it.
to it, and
And Thomas.
Yeah, me and Peter were there. because we're loyal to the cause, aren't we? We're dedicated. Rain, sleet, but unfortunately it was very sunny, extremely sunny. With my shorts on, sun cream on, and a few beers.
Yeah,
and some nice music.
Nice party, free bar.
Yeah, free bar, loads of alcohol, and it was Dutch Pro had put up a 2. What type of tents are they called, Peter? TPs, and they were actually the one that Radio 1 used at Glastonbury.
And I've played music in it.
Yeah.
The year before in festival somewhere near Banbury.
And it was a lovely weekend, wasn't it, Peter?
Yeah,
the sun was shining. We was on AutoPot's land, and they have large polytunnels set up where they do all chili growing and tomatoes and a wide range of stuff. And they put on a load of food, and there was a few companies there.
Yeah. No, most of the major companies were there, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
But it was very relaxed.
Yeah, and it was... What was special about it, Peter, and I absolutely really love this thing, is all the companies decided to do like a little game, a themed sort of thing, including yourselves.
Yeah.
You had the Pac-Man games.
Pac-Man game, yeah.
What was that bloody crazy donkey leg that you brought? What the hell was that?
I think you'll find that was a prime aged ham from Spain.
If the RSPCA are listening here, I think it was all above board, that wasn't it?
It was all above board, yeah.
What was that? Yeah. So basically, they had this leg, it looked as if it was off a donkey, and it had no skin left on it, but it had been left out to dry for a few years.
I think the pig was killed before you were born.
Yeah, and then they had it on like this fancy board thing with a spike, so it stood up. Yeah, and they had a big knife, and you had like, what did you have with it? Cheese?
Yeah, we had some cheese.
But it was weird cheese though, wasn't it? Like stunk a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. And some nice dill mustard.
Yeah, they had dill mustard, but you know what? It was quirky and it was good, and all of the companies there, it was like in a big marquee, and they all sectioned them all off. And I can remember they had like this one company had like a cyclone thing with, it was like a see-through tube. It was like being in a hamster tube, and you're inside, and then he switched this big fan on, and then it was also like being in the Crystal Maze, when you grab the golden and silver tickets, and you had to pick the balls in the air and put them through the thing. What else? They had the tin can alley with the guns.
I heard a funny story about you going all Bear Grylls on one of the stands.
On
one of the Eco Thrive stands.
Yeah.
They brought out some nice muffins, and because Eco Thrive is beetle frass, then the larvae that they used, they got them at food grade, cooked them, put them into these muffins, and thought, anybody dare to try one of these gross muffins?
Yeah.
But they also had live
larvae
on the side.
They were quite fresh as well.
And this was just...
but they were right.
Yeah, they was. Quite nice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this was just for display purposes only though, wasn't it? So Thomas, thinking he was Bear Grylls, walked over, didn't even look at the muffins, just took a big handful of larvae and threw it in your mouth, ate about 50 of them, went, is that good enough for your competition? Well,
I think then Peter shared some with me.
Yeah, I put some chilli sauce on mine there.
Yeah, we had a beer and some chilli sauce on some mealworms.
Did you even taste any of the muffins?
No. Didn't even have any of the muffins. But yeah, it was a dead relaxed thing that was going on, and it was really good. It was an awesome show. I've mentioned it before on podcast, and another big shout out to the guys who run that show, and thank you for the invite. It was a pleasure to be there.
It was very good. And I'm looking forward to next year as well.
Yeah,
I am. I'll be there this year.
Which is trade only, though, we have to point out.
Yeah,
this
sorry,
podcast.
customers and listeners, it is only a trade show. But if you have maybe something you want to exchange with me, I could probably get you a ticket.
And the ones that you can attend, though, Coventry?
Yes, Coventry isn't on this year.
No.
That's finished. That was the...
There is no shows on this year.
No Coventry and no London, apparently. So
No, so
on the ground
is that
for
public
UK
information now?
It is, I believe, yeah. So there's probably going to be at least one or two, you would have thought. There's, I believe somewhere in Nottingham there, not far from us, they're looking at having...
I hope so, because I do enjoy the shows. I do look forward
But
to
that
them.
again will be on private land,
Yeah.
under a tent rather than in a big conference centre. I think really the AutoPot show put the nail in the coffin of the
Yes.
big shows.
AutoPot did.
Yeah, so big shout out to them. They haven't even. I don't think they meant to do it.
No, they
just got bigger and bigger each year as it just
did,
got
yeah.
more
They
popular.
just created the show that everyone loved.
Yes, and everybody wanted. Really.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Nice, relaxing, informal.
The only other one was Barcelona, of course,
Yeah.
which was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's always good in
Be looking
Barcelona,
forward to
isn't
that in 2016,
Yeah, looking forward to
11th of March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always look forward to that one, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will
Sharing
hijack the
our stand
highlight
again.
stand once again.
As per usual.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds like a plan.
sure we'll come up with a good product for them.
So we're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to come up with a plan, aren't we? Because some of these customers still want to see the new products. Some of them might not be able to travel to Barcelona. So what do you think about doing a small open day at NPK Towers in 2016?
After Barcelona, so we
After
can bring things
Barcelona,
back.
yeah. What do you think?
We could
That
have a
was
look at that.
We could.
Pregnant pause, that was.
That was a
Was that
very.
you
Because do you
thinking,
know why I
Thomas?
paused? Because he said NPK Towers. And I was thinking, what's NPK Towers? Is this something else that we're doing and I didn't know? It sounds like Halton Towers. Roller coaster ride or
I
something.
wondered why you were looking at me going,
Yeah, that's what it was.
What
Just
have you
thinking-
fucking come up with now that you haven't told me?
Yeah, how much is this going to cost us now? Bloody hell. We're going to go on eBay and there's some big roller coaster on there.
No, I just thought it's a nice name for our two shops, NPK Towers. I won't use that again.
That would be a good idea, though, bringing things back from there and
Showcasing them here,
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
people a little open day, put on a
Yeah.
little food,
Yeah.
little tea and coffee, not made by me,
Yeah.
and then maybe a few alcoholic beverages as well.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We could do.
Well, you'll
that'd
hear
be
more
a good
about that in 2016 if that comes to fruition.
Well, I think that that 2015 wasn't the year of the LED.
No, definitely wasn't. But I think
So,
2016.
I
Got
think
5 minutes left, Pete.
2016 has a better chance of being.
Definitely.
I think.
I think stick with your 600 HPS.
And I think it's going to be still going to be a while yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're only
and I
replacing
think
them.
people are going to stop making outrageous claims
Yeah.
about how good they are and just start being realistic.
But some LEDs are okay.
That they do. LEDs do work. They work very
Yes,
well
yes,
compared
they do.
to if you want to replace a 600-watt bulb for a £1,200 LED. I can say with me hand on my heart that you're going to get comparable results.
Yeah, but you're not going to be using any less electricity.
Exactly. No more bombshell.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to save any money by using an LED because unfortunately they're not efficient enough to draw 300 watts and give you inverted
equivalent of
commas.
1,000 watts, no.
They're not at that. The technology isn't there yet. It might be. It probably will be in 5-10 years.
Yeah, it will be in the future, but just obviously it's just at the baby stages still,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It is,
So-
yes, yeah.
So for people that love experimenting and love testing, LEDs might be nice for you. They do help you out in the summer months if heat becomes a problem.
Yeah, they do. That is one benefit, a major
It
benefit.
is, yeah. I think they've got to get better than the 315 volt daylight Papillons.
Yeah.
If they could get any better than that, then it would probably be all right. But at the moment, they're smashing it as well.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
LEDs,
315 volt anybody's.
the summary of LEDs for 2015 is they work. Some work very well.
Yeah.
But for the extra £950 that you'd have to spend to get one,
At least.
that's your decision. Because it's only replacing a 600-watt bulb at the moment. No saving on electricity. Bit better with your
But
environment.
we have some cheaper versions
Yeah.
that do also work. So there is a lot of options there, and also I'm a big fan of LEDs because I do believe they are the future. So I think that pay attention to them because
I think, I definitely
eventually it's your only option.
I'm a
It
big
is.
fan of LEDs, fairly keenly priced LEDs as secondary lighting.
Yeah.
You know, there's always areas in people's grow rooms where they could do with ideally more light.
Bit of supplement.
So yeah, supplementing
And
it.
for home, if you're going to grow something under lights that you've never done, like you can grow chili under a 60-watt LED quite successfully,
Yeah.
a little fruit and flower. So that'll give you some idea of how you're growing inside just for cheap 60-watt LED, really.
Good stuff.
It'll give you something to go on.
Well done. Thank you for reminding us about LEDs, because that might have slipped through the net there. It was an important point of 2015, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What else is there before we finish up? Because I'm going to get a nudge soon off the editor to say we've run out of time.
Yeah.
I think it's been a good year, as always.
I think the wheel's been reinvented a few times.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah.
So please, 2016, don't bring us any more nutrients, any more A and B.
No, and
No more liquid nutrients.
Some sort of written down scientific information to back your outrageous claim would be good as well.
Yeah.
Pete's my best
Peer
mate when it
review.
comes to all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we're striving for is to make our industry more scientific.
Yeah,
More like
yeah.
more.
More like other ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to get in my shout there. I very pleased with myself. You know, I wrote the how to conduct a proper scientific inquiry. Well, it's only going to make the front page of Garden Culture, hasn't it?
Boom, touch me there, brother.
Yay.
Yes.
So I've got the cover of Garden Culture. It's the leading article in there. So check it out. It took me a little while to put it together, because my neck's on the chopping block with this one, and I gladly put it there as well. If anybody spots a mistake or would like to add anything to it, or thinks I'm wrong on something, please do get in touch and let us know. And that's what science is all about at the end of the day, isn't it?
It is.
Writing what you think is your current best knowledge, putting your head on the chopping block, and then other people of equally high academic standards are saying, well, actually, that doesn't work, and you might try this. And I go, okay, good point, thank you. I'll do that next time. And that's how we all move forward and evolve as an industry and become better, rather than money-grabbing horse who just want to market the shit out of a product and give people bad products.
Yeah.
That's right, there are ways of doing it. The other thing is, just that little bit of time to test would be a lot better, rather than just launching something before it's actually gone through a testing process. So I can think of one Spidermite product that I can't think of, that on contact with certain varieties of plants killed them dead within 12 hours. And that's
It's a simple
that's
test
the sort
to
of
do as
thing-
well, isn't
That's
it?
the sort of thing you really ought to iron out before you put it in a bottle.
Did it kill the spider mites though?
No.
No. Spider-Mites are still
Unfortunately
there,
not.
the plan
Yeah.
was gone.
That's
So
it.
at least you haven't got your problem anymore. The spider mites have got no more food and they fuck off. Yeah, that's what we want to get to, rather than waiting for us to test the products and tell you it's shit. Why don't you tell us first?
Yes.
I'm getting me nudged now. That's how Rick's nudged me, and this is our last podcast of 2015.
Yeah.
It's been emotional.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
A big thank you to. I just want to say a big thank you to all our listeners.
Yeah.
Right across the world. From. Let's give some shout outs.
Everybody in the US who are now catching up to the subscribers
Australia,
in the UK, Australia,
Africa,
loads of places in Africa,
Germany,
Jamaica, Canada, France, Israel, Russia, China, Trinidad and Tobago. We've got two
Spain.
Shout
subscribers.
out to my relatives in Tobago.
Yeah.
Oh
big,
yeah,
big
shout out to
yeah.
them if you're listening.
Yeah. What's the names?
The Aman clan.
The Aman clan in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. Big shout out.
And we're in over 70 countries now, so
Are we?
I'm going to get another nudge before we run out of time.
So if we've missed you out, thank you very much for listening to us. It's been a pleasure, and we will continue. We're not going to stop. So if you hated listening to us, unfortunately, we are going to carry on doing this stuff. We're not going to stop. So there you go.
Yeah, 2016, we'll be back with new fresh podcasts
Yep.
and some new innovative products, and maybe
And some new fresh people to interview.
yeah, definitely. It's been a good way to end the year with Highlight Horticulture. For
Yeah.
our best mates.
Yeah, big shout out to Highlight.
Thank you.
Thank you very
for having
much.
us.
Thank you for your
Um,
time.
Been a pleasure as always working with you and being with you, and just thank you for all your support over the past few years.
And thank you for yours.
Good stuff. I'm off for the sherry.
Ooh, I might join you. I'll have a man's drink, Don.
Malibu.
Yeah. So long as they've got one of them paper umbrellas in them.
Yeah.
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 You're a fan of rosé, aren't you?
Shut up.
On that bombshell. We'll see you next year, guys.
See you next year. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.